Hello and welcome to Kent Tonight, live on KMTV. I'm Cameron Tucker. Here are your top stories on Friday, the 17th of October. 12 and a half years, Sitting Bull man jailed after fatal hit and run in Maidstone.
The time is 12:30 and I'm going to be arresting you on suspicion of death by dangerous driving.
Sevenoaks split. District Council leaders' position on a knife's edge after no confidence vote.
I'll certainly be considering my position as a responsible leader would, but to be honest, this was a party political set of votes.
And true grit. KCC's highways team begin winter preparations.
We have changed the routes. The routes are much more streamlined. The guys are going out on the practice run today to make sure they know exactly which routes they're going to cover.
So the reason we're here...
hit a cyclist before fleeing the scene has been jailed for 12 and a half years. Maidstone Crown Court heard that Danny Gibson had spent the day drinking at the pub and smoking cannabis before crashing into 71-year-old David Prentice in Wormshill. The sentencing comes almost 3 years to the day since the collision happened. Kent Police have released this footage showing the moment of Gibson's arrest.
So the reason we're here is because there's been an incident earlier on this afternoon. So the time is 12:30 and I'm going to be arresting you on suspicion of death by dangerous driving. You do not have to say anything but main harm in defence. If you do not mention when questioned something which you later rely on in court, anything you do say may be given in evidence. Okay.
Alright,
it's all on suspicion at the moment, okay?
It's just an allegation. We need to ask you some questions at a police station, mate.
I don't even know the allegation's been made about. It's not even done nothing.
It's been an allegation that a male's been hit by a driver in a car and he's now unfortunately died. That's the allegation, okay?
I haven't been driving. I don't even drive a car. I've got a push bike.
I'll just remind you you're under caution, alright? So anything you say can be given evidence, alright?
Yeah,
just got to remind you.
All I've got is a push bike. That's what I've got
Listen,
about.
mate, that's it.
I don't even drive. I've got a push bike. My bike's up there. That's how I get about.
Okay.
I don't even drive cars.
Apologies for some technical difficulties we had playing that. Kristen Hawthorne's been looking at the story today. Bring us up to speed with this case.
So Danny Gibson, who we can see here, he had been drinking in Sheerness at Wetherspoons for his brother's birthday, before then taking his mother's vehicle without her permission for about 30 minutes, and he was discovered to be driving around for about 30 minutes before the incident. He then hit David Prentice, a 71-year-old, on a quiet back road in Wormshill with such force that the cyclist was actually thrown 5 feet over a hedge. Instead of calling for help, Gibson abandoned the car in a field and walked away. A witness reported that at about 5 p.m, she heard a loud bang shortly after seeing the cyclist pass, and later saw the abandoned car in a field before he was seen leaving the scene on foot. He was later found to be unlicensed, uninsured and over the drug drive limit. Mr Prentice's body was found later that evening by friends who went searching for him because he didn't come home. He was then pronounced dead at the scene by paramedics at 8:45, 4 hours after the crash. Gibson was found to be related to the incident because glass was still found in his hair. He initially denied it was him, but then changed his plea to guilty. A post-mortem, however, did discover that Mr Prentice would have died anyway because the head injury was so severe that even if he had immediate medical attention, it wouldn't have been enough.
And just very quickly, tell us about the sentencing today.
So Judge Oliver Saxby called Gibson's actions utterly despicable, and he was sentenced to 12 years and 6 months in prison and banned for driving for 20 years.
Kristen, thank you very much for those updates. Now in other news, a Gillingham sex offender has been sentenced to 22 years in prison for targeting 3 children. Roy Humphreys abused 2 boys in the 1970s. 3 decades later, he abused a 3rd child. This last victim told a relative in 2020, and it was reported to the police. Humphreys was then convicted of 17 sexual offences on the 20th of June this year. He pleaded not guilty. DC Emma Davies said Humphreys is a vile sexual predator and his crimes cannot be overstated. She's encouraged other abuse victims to come forward. The Conservative leader of Sevenoaks District Council says he's considering his position after losing a vote of no confidence. The West Kent Independents, led by former District Council leader Julia Thornton, told us no personal grievance influenced their decision. Other parties have slammed the vote, even taking place, calling it an act of political infighting. Local democracy reporter Ollie Leader was at the vote.
Knives out in Sevenoaks as darkness descended on the District Council, where inside the Conservative leader faced a vote of no confidence that could determine his political future. The extraordinary meeting was brought forward by the West Kent Independents, who had previously left the ruling Tory group as a minority in power when they split over the summer.
It's not something we wish to do. There was so much division within the group and the wrong decisions were being made by the leader at that stage. We're not proud to be here. We've done what we felt we had to do in order to progress things with the limited time that we've got left on Sevenoaks District Council, in order to deliver for the legacy projects that we need to do for our residents. And we're very much standing in this independent group for our residents and our communities. So yeah, it didn't bring us any joy at all. We are very pleased with the result that's come through, but it's, as you can see, there's no joy on our faces.
The Conservative leader says he tried negotiating with the Wickies, but despite a last-minute deal being offered, the vote went ahead, with the Liberal Democrats helping carry the motion, 24 votes to 15.
Had no stake in the personal and very bitter personal rivalries which we saw played out tonight in public. They've been going on in private for a long time, clearly, and that has done immense damage to the council. I think what we've said tonight is that needs to stop. We need to get beyond that. The poison of the past needs to be replaced by some sort of progress for the future, and we will play our part in that to the extent that we possibly can after tonight's events.
All eyes will now be on Roddy Hogarth. After all, how long can he really go on as leader after losing the confidence of the council?
So I'll certainly be considering my position as a responsible leader would, but to be honest, this was a party political set of votes, which, if the numbers are here this evening, regrettably there were quite a few people who were unable to be here due to serious illness and prior arrangements because of the short notice of this. So actually I don't take the overall result to be particularly serious.
But with the District Council set to be abolished in the coming years, there was also a general feeling in the room that their evenings could be better spent helping residents rather than on party politics. Ollie Leader in Sevenoaks.
Water and providing 22 million litres per day to residents of Kent. South East Water are making the first step towards a reservoir in Canterbury. The project's set to be completed should planning go ahead in 2035. This comes as Kent experienced its driest summer on record and population growth continues to add strain on water supplies. Megan Shaw has gone behind the scenes of the multi-million-pound project.
5,126 million litres of water might one day occupy these fields, as South East Water carry out initial surveys for a potential reservoir to serve Kent. A reservoir between Herne Bay and Canterbury might not be a surprise, as the site was purchased by South East Water in the 1970s. Now, the 200-acre basin, which would supply 22 million litres of water each day to residents of Kent, could be one step closer to a reality.
Yeah, so we're looking to submit our planning application in around 2028, looking to award contracts in around 2030, at which point we'll start construction, and looking to get water into supply by the mid-2030s.
But before the finer details, the ground beneath the land is being drilled up to 75 metres deep.
As part of a surveillance stage, South East Water are first conducting investigations, ensuring the ground conditions are fit for purpose.
Surveyors are looking for clay, which being impermeable by water will make up the reservoir's basin. Broad Oak Reservoir comes at a crucial time for the South East, as last year was the UK's hottest summer ever. Climate change, as well as population growth, place additional stresses on the UK's water, making the site a serious investment into the future. But despite this, residents in Canterbury have mixed opinions.
Water is not a problem here, it's in Kent. Housing is, homelessness is, so I don't see why that's a priority.
We should have been building reservoirs over the last 50 years or so. It's a timing issue, I guess. I haven't lived here for long, but I love the area. But I do miss green and trees.
They want to build in it, don't really agree with that. They want to use it as a reservoir, don't agree with that. A lot of these countries use desalination units. We could put them all the way up down the coast where there's no land being used.
While residents might thirst for more updates, particularly around environmental concerns, it might be a long wait until the Broadock Reservoir can quench that curiosity.
Coming up, we'll be taking a closer look at the story we brought you yesterday about the University of Kent's plans to push ahead with building 2,000 homes in Blean, a move which has reignited anger among local environmental campaigners. And Maisie Walker's been in Aylesford, where Kent County Council is gearing up for the colder months. All that after this break. Welcome back to Kent Tonight, live on KMTV. This is the best decision for all parties. That's been the response from the University of Kent amid controversial plans to build 2,000 homes in Blean. The plans, which have been shelved by Canterbury City Council, will see the homes put on the private rental market, despite backlash from local residents and environmental campaigners. Megan Shaw has the story.
Rolling hills, sweeping countryside and scenic views. Soon to be no more, as controversial development plans have been picked up by the University of Kent.
The acting Vice-Chancellor has confirmed that the university will plough on with these plans on fields on the north side of the university campus, despite the council having deleted the site from its local draft plan.
Plans involve developing fields in Blean, a village on the outskirts of Canterbury and north of the university's campus, into a 2,000-home estate.
Well, the Blean is a wider area. It's huge. It stretches all the way from over in the RSPB right to Wilder Blean, where they've got the bison. So this huge swathe of land is all connected, and it's all connected by nature. And if we lose essentially this connectivity, we'll never get it back. And so it's not just what the community might lose, it's what nature will lose.
This comes as a curveball after a similar draft to develop on university land by Canterbury City Council was dropped, following protests last year. A key campaign group here is Save the Blean, who rallied against the initial plans and proffered alternative development options for the university, such as the Blean Biopark, involving combining recreational space with reforestation and habitat restoration. For environmentalists and campaigners, this recent news is deeply concerning.
People are opposing it because it destroys an enormously important strategic area for wildlife. It's part of the Blean woodland complex. And it would threaten 3 really distinct communities, 3 different villages. It would just turn it into a big sprawl of housing that would also impact hugely on the infrastructure of North Canterbury. We know that the roads here just cannot take the number of cars, probably 7,000 car movements a day that you would get with 2,000 houses.
We approached the University of Kent for comment, and they explained that they've been working with local stakeholders, including Save the Blean, and strongly believe that this development is the best solution for Canterbury, the university and the wider South East region. They have identified a development partner and are working closely with them to bring forward a responsible, sensitive and sustainable proposal, including identifying the most sustainable disposal strategy. This will include continuing to work with the City Council and County Council to resolve issues that they have identified, including transport. Canterbury Council's local plan consultation is open until Tuesday, so for Save the Blean, the fight is far from over. Megan Shaw, KMTV in Canterbury.
Next, Kent County Council's Highways team is gearing up for the colder months by rolling out the gritters, ready to keep the county's roads safe and moving. To prepare, KCC stores more than 10,000 tonnes of salt and will carry out nearly 60 primary salting runs. Maisie Walker has more.
Things are about to get icy, but don't worry, Kent's bringing the grit. Each year, Kent County Council's Highways team prepares for the colder months with an operation to keep Kent's roads safe and moving.
Now, I promise you I'm not super short. I'm just stood behind 4,000 tonnes of salt, which enables Kent to have safer, less hazardous roads when it comes to those icy conditions during the winter time.
This year, the service will run from October to April, with a period from December to February. Residents can expect to see gritters out if temperatures are predicted to dip below 0 degrees. Last winter, the team carried out 57 primary salting runs and used over 11,500 tonnes of salt.
You can't really improve on perfection, but we have changed the routes. The routes are much more streamlined. The guys are going out on the practice run today to make sure they know exactly which routes they're going to cover. We can only really do 30% of our roads. As I've said, we do most of the A roads, most of the B roads. We get a lot of help from local farmers. They go out in their local areas and we pay them to do that for us, but they don't get paid very much, but they do a great service out on the rural roads.
In addition to primary routes, designated snow routes will be treated during severe weather, with 3,000 salt bins scattered across Kent. Improvement to road drainage is to be expected too, in order to prevent hazardous conditions caused by standing water and flooding, which can be especially dangerous in winter. Kent's Highways team is prepared to tackle winter head-on, carefully salting away at the season's challenges and making sure Kent roads stay steady when the cold sets in. Maisie Walker for KMTV, Alresford.
And now for the last time this week, let's take a look at the weather forecast. Tonight, Kent will see cloudy skies with lows of 11 in Ashford and Dover. Wind gusts will be relatively low, upping to 5 miles per hour, and temperatures of 12 degrees across most of the county tomorrow morning. That'll be going up to 10 mile per hour gusts in the east of the county, 14 degrees and 15 across the board. And to the rest of the weekend and start next week, it's a bit of a wet one. 15 degrees going up to sunny, 16 degrees on Tuesday. And finally, thousands have begun descending on Canterbury for one of Kent's biggest events in the local arts calendar. The Canterbury Festival starts today and will run through until November the 1st. Visitors have a whole host of celebrity appearances, awe-inspiring performances and all manner of cultural activities to look forward to across the historic city. Joining me live on the line is the festival's director, Susanna Stevenson. Susanna, thank you so much for joining us this evening on day one. How's the start of the festival been going? Oh, we're having a few technical issues there, Susanna.
I think we have a slight issue with the connection, but we are thrilled to be here at the beginning of the Canterbury this year.
We're going to try and come back to you, Susanna. We're going to try and sort out those tech gremlins this evening, hear a little bit more about the festival. But we're going to have a little look at one of our own stories here. First, you can check out all of our stories across the county by going to kmtv.co.uk, including and checking out this one, all about digital IDs.
The government's plans for a mandatory new digital ID have been announced, with two main purposes: to deter illegal migrants from coming into the country and to streamline public services. And although the government has promised face-to-face support and alternative routes for those who might struggle to access the scheme, people in Rochester seem concerned for older people who might not be as technologically skilled.
I worry how the old will interact with this card. My mother's 93, doesn't have a computer.
Yeah, I help out. I'm a nurse, so I do, even though I'm a paediatric nurse, I help out my old elderly neighbours and people like my nan. They already struggle as it is going online, and I have to generally do it for them.
Like elderly people, they're not used to the technology, which is now, I mean, in the last 10 years, it's been such a boom in technology.
So I think that could be a big struggle and a worry for them. There's still a lot of older people that cannot access it online.
Now, the digital ID will only ask you for some very basic information: your name, date of birth, your nationality, and a photo of you for biometric security. And that's one of the concerns, security. But the government assure us that just like a contactless card or your NHS app, all this data will be stored on your phone. And experts say that with this security concern and the ease of using it, especially for elderly people, examples of it being used in Australia, Estonia and Denmark are good examples of why it might be actually quite easy to adopt.
Personally, I don't think that will be an issue, and particularly because this has been widely used in many other countries, and such accessibility problem have been well considered elsewhere. The security standards and practices of securing, things like that has been pretty much matured. And again, I will have to refer to other countries again, European, particularly unions.
According to Prime Minister Keir Starmer, digital ID is an enormous opportunity for the UK. It'll make it tougher to work illegally in this country, making our borders more secure. And it will also offer ordinary citizens countless benefits, like being able to prove your identity to access key services swiftly, rather than hunting around for an old utility bill. However, there is a petition arguing that the government shouldn't go ahead with the ID cards. It currently sits at more than 2,600,000 signatures, with areas of Kent contributing as well, especially the East Coast, with Dover and Deal contributing the most signatures in the county. The government will be launching a public consultation later this year to make sure the ID is as inclusive and accessible as possible, especially for groups like the elderly or the homeless. And while many might be worried for their older relatives, experts say the concept that's been adopted well overseas shouldn't be dismissed too hastily. Finn McDermott for KMTV in Rochester.
I'm very pleased to say that we managed to get director Susanna Stevenson from the Canterbury Festival on the line. We'll have to have a longer chat with you next week, Susanna, but give us a bit of an elevator pitch on how day one's gone today and what we've got in store this weekend.
Today we've got, starting with Evelyn Glennie in the Great Hall. She's been loading in tens of drums all day. It's going to be a fantastic concert with the New London Chamber Ensemble. But then, you know, there are events happening all weekend. We've got the Beautiful Noise showcase tomorrow, which is taking place in the city centre. Please do come along, have a look on the website to see all of the different venues you can go to hear local groups performing. But then also on Sunday, we have a fantastic collision of classical music and circus with a performance called Renewal the Lark Ascending with the United Strings of Europe and some fantastic jugglers. So there really is lots to see, as well as a talks programme where we'll be talking about things like the history of board games. And I would encourage people to have a look, because all of next week, throughout half term,
Susanna, I'm terribly sorry. We will definitely get you on talk more about the festival running all the way until November, but that's it on Kent Tonight. We'll see you next week.